August 1945, Bremen, British occupation zone. 21-year-old Katharina Vogel stood at the window watching Sergeant Michael Barnes teach German children cricket in the courtyard below. She wanted him to look up, to see her watching, to notice she existed. She prayed he wouldn't, because if he did, everything would unravel. Katharina had a secret that would get her executed. And Barnes, this kind British sergeant who gave children chocolate, was exactly the type who would figure it out if he paid attention. Here's what nobody knew. She wasn't just a translator, she was a deserter, a Blitz Medal, Nazi communications specialist. In March 1945, with Berlin falling, she'd burned her papers, stolen civilian clothes, and walked away. The penalty was execution. They were still finding deserters, still shooting them. Every document she translated might contain her name. Every moment Barnes looked at her was a moment he might see through her stolen identity. She wanted him to see her. She prayed he wouldn't. February 1945. Katharina was a signals operator at Wehrmacht Communications headquarters in Berlin. She intercepted Allied radio transmissions, could identify British accents from radio chatter, predict troop movements from communication patterns. She'd believed once, in 1942, maybe 1943. But by 1945, Berlin was rubble. Everyone knew the war was lost. March 14th, Soviet artillery within earshot. A major approached. Communications personnel were being evacuated to Bavaria. Katharina knew what that meant. Not evacuation, execution. The regime was eliminating anyone who could testify in war crimes trials. Communications specialists knew everything. They were liabilities. She didn't report. Instead, she burned her papers, stole documents from a dead woman's apartment, and became Katharina Vogel. Bremen resident, displaced by bombing. The real Katharina Vogel died in an air raid. Her papers were perfect. Her story was believable. The lie worked for 5 months, but it required being invisible. Then she met Barnes in June 1945, and suddenly being invisible felt like dying. Barnes was different. Most British soldiers treated Germans with contempt. Barnes treated them like humans. He'd organised food distribution, set up schools, helped civilians navigate bureaucracy. He was 31, a teacher before the war, spoke decent German. Katharina translated for him during aid meetings. Hours together. Professional exchanges, but she started feeling something she couldn't afford to feel. She noticed how he listened when Germans spoke. Actually listened. Took notes, treated their problems as legitimate. She noticed his patience with children. She noticed the weight behind his eyes, how he'd pause mid-sentence like his mind was somewhere dark. She wanted him to notice her the same way. But notice meant questions. Questions meant background checks. Background checks meant discovery. Discovery meant execution. Want and dread as one emotion. In July, Barnes started staying late, making small talk, asking about her life, where she was from, what Bremen had been like. Every question was a landmine. She'd memorised the real Vogel's history, but Barnes would ask something specific, and she'd have to improvise. Keep the lie consistent. And the worst part? She wanted to tell him the truth. I'm not who you think I am. I worked for them. I decoded your communications. I helped kill your soldiers. I'm a deserter, a fraud, a war criminal. But telling the truth meant dying. In August, Barnes invited her to dinner, off-duty, personal. She said yes before thinking, before remembering that personal relationships meant exposure. They ate British rations at an officer's mess, talked about music, books, weather. Then Barnes changed everything. You're different from other translators. You understand military terminology too well. You catch technical errors, correct military ranks instinctively. Ice in her stomach. My father was military. I grew up around it. What branch? Wehrmacht. Infantry. Died in 1943. I'm sorry, what was his rank? Casual, conversational, but she heard the test underneath. Hauptmann, Eastern Front, near Kursk. Barnes nodded, but she saw doubt in his eyes, the beginning of questions that wouldn't stop. Can I ask you something personal? Why do you look at me like you're afraid of me? Her hands shook. We're still enemies. Germany lost. You won. I look at you and see someone who has power over whether I live or die. That's frightening. I would never... I know, but the power dynamic exists whether you use it or not. A perfect lie. Barnes accepted it, but the doubt remained. At her door, he said something that made her heart stop. "If you're hiding something, I hope you know you can trust me." She looked at this British soldier who'd shown her more kindness than she deserved, who was offering trust to someone built from lies. "Thank you, but some things are safer hidden." What does that mean? Sometimes the truth destroys people, and hiding it is the only kindness left. She went inside, stood with her back against the door, crying, because she wanted him to see her, really see her. But if he did, he'd have to report her. Watch her be executed. Want and dread, hope and terror, the same impossible contradiction. 2 weeks later, Barnes was gone, reassigned, no warning, no goodbye. She told herself it was safer, but she grieved anyway. September 1945. A British military police officer came to her apartment. This was it. They'd found the truth. This was execution. But he just handed her a letter from Barnes. "Katharina, I don't know what you're hiding, but I know you're hiding something. I've watched you want to be seen and terrified of being seen. I understand that contradiction. I carry one too. I came to Germany hating Germans, believing you were all guilty. But I met you, and I realized hate is simple, but humans are complicated. I don't know your secret, but I know mine. I don't hate you. I should, but I don't. And that contradiction is destroying me the same way yours is destroying you. I hope whatever you're hiding stays hidden if that's what keeps you safe. I hope someday the war ends for real. Not just officially, but in our hearts. Take care. M." She read it 17 times, then burned it. Because keeping it was evidence. Because wanting impossible things was how you got killed. But she memorized every word, carried them where no one could find them. Katharina Vogel lived until 1998, age 74. Never told anyone the truth. Never revealed she'd been a deserter. Took the lie to her grave. Michael Barnes died in 2003, age 89. In his papers, his daughter found a photograph. A German woman. Young. Serious. Written on the back, "The person I couldn't save because she wouldn't let me." Two people who saw each other clearly, who understood each other's contradictions, who couldn't be together because truth meant death. She wanted him to notice her, but prayed he wouldn't. The contradiction was the story, not the resolution. Just the contradiction. Forever.